It was July 2018. The military helicopter was flying over the dense Amazon rainforest when the unthinkable happened. A critical mechanical failure forced an emergency maneuver. Marcus, who was at the side door checking coordinates, was thrown out during the turbulence. The impact with the treetops was brutal, breaking branches, leaves everywhere, and that terrible feeling of free fall being interrupted by violent impacts. When he finally stopped on the forest floor, covered in scratches and aching all over, Marcus did a quick assessment. No broken bones. Good news. The bad news? He looked around and saw nothing familiar, just green, infinite green in all directions. The helicopter had disappeared. The engine sounds had been swallowed by the vastness of the forest. He checked his pockets, a nearly empty lighter, a pen, and a piece of cord. That was everything. At that moment, most people would panic. But Marcus did something different. He took a deep breath and began to think like a problem solver, not like a victim. The first decision was crucial. Don't move until he understood where he was. Moving without direction in the jungle guarantees getting even more lost. But staying put meant facing the night that was rapidly approaching. Marcus knew he had three immediate priorities: shelter, water, and fire. Without these three things, he wouldn't last 2 days. The problem? He had no tools for any of them. That's when his true creativity began to shine. For shelter, he didn't try to build anything elaborate. He found a tree with exposed roots that formed a natural cavity. Using palm leaves he tore off with his bare hands, he created an insulating layer from the damp ground. It wasn't comfortable, but it would keep his body away from the moisture that can cause hypothermia even in tropical climates. Water was the next challenge. He remembered a survival trick, collecting dew. Using his own shirt tied between branches, Marcus created a surface where the next morning's dew could accumulate. But that wouldn't solve his immediate thirst. So he observed. In the jungle, animals always know where to find water. He followed the sound of birds and found thick vines. With a sharp stone that took 15 minutes to prepare, he cut the vine and tilted it. Clean water began to drip. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep him alive. Everyone knows fire is essential in the jungle, but making fire without matches or a working lighter is extremely difficult. Marcus's lighter gave sparks, but didn't have enough gas for a constant flame. This is where his improvisation became genius. Marcus collected dry fibers from tree bark and created a nest of flammable material. Then he used the lens from his pen. Yes, you read that right. He disassembled the pen, removed the small magnifying lens at the top, and used it to concentrate the sun rays that occasionally penetrated through the forest canopy. It took almost 3 hours of frustrating attempts. His hands trembled with exhaustion. The sun was setting, but finally a small wisp of smoke began to emerge. He blew gently, added more dry material, and then a flame. Small, fragile, but real. That night, sitting beside his improvised fire, Marcus realized something important. Every problem had a solution. He just needed to stop, observe, and think. On the third day, dehydrated and with hunger beginning to affect his thinking, Marcus found something unexpected. Old marks on a tree's bark. They were deliberate cuts made by humans, possibly indigenous hunters or previous reconnaissance teams. He followed the marks. They led to a small clearing where there were signs of old campsites. But most importantly, there was a stream just 50 meters away. Running water meant hope of civilization downstream. But it also meant a difficult decision: stay close to where he fell, increasing the chances of rescue, or follow the river, hoping to find help. Marcus did something smart. He created smoke signals during the day using green leaves on the fire. At night, he kept the fire burning as a beacon. Meanwhile, he explored along the river for a few hours each day, always marking his way back. On the 5th day, Marcus made a crucial discovery. Following the river, he found wreckage. not from the helicopter that was carrying him, but from an unidentified aircraft. And inside it, partially buried by vegetation, there was a waterproof box. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside, a damaged emergency radio, wet but still readable maps, and documents in a language he didn't immediately recognize. His military training kicked in. That wasn't accidental. The radio was broken, but Marcus didn't give up. Using wires he had improvised from vines and basic electronics knowledge from his training, he spent hours trying to make a connection. He used stones to create a work surface. He dried components in the sun. He tested and retested. On the 6th day, he managed to pick up intermittent signals. He couldn't transmit, but he could listen. And what he heard was alarming. His team was looking for him in the completely wrong direction, kilometers away. Marcus needed to be found, but he also needed someone to recover those wreckage and documents. They were clearly important for military intelligence. But how to signal his exact location without a transmitter radio? The solution was as simple as it was brilliant. He collected all the reflective palm leaves he could find. He arranged them by the river in a giant SOS pattern, each letter almost 10 meters long. But he didn't stop there. He created improvised mirrors using metal pieces from the wreckage, polished with sand and water until they became reflective. During the day, he used these mirrors to reflect sunlight into the sky whenever he heard aircraft sounds. At night, he kept 3 fires burning in a triangular formation, the universal emergency signal. On the 7th day, a search helicopter finally saw the reflections. Marcus was rescued, dehydrated, and 15 kilos lighter, but alive, and he didn't return alone. He insisted that the team investigate the wreckage he had found. Those documents and wreckage Marcus found turned out to be part of an international smuggling operation that authorities had been tracking for months. The location he marked allowed the operation to be dismantled. But the real lesson of this story isn't about military heroism. It's about something much more fundamental: the human capacity to adapt, improvise, and overcome when everything seems lost. Marcus didn't have sophisticated survival equipment. He didn't have machetes, tents, or water filters. What he had was something more valuable: the ability to look at what was available and transform it into solutions. After the rescue, Marcus was invited to train survival teams. And you know what his first lesson was? Your greatest survival equipment isn't in your backpack, it's between your ears. He teaches 3 fundamental principles. First, stop and observe before acting. Panic consumes vital energy you need to think clearly. In the jungle, in life, in crises, calm observation always beats desperate action. Second, everything can be a tool if you know how to use it. A pen becomes a magnifying lens. A shirt becomes a water collector. Vines become ropes. Nature provides solutions if you're willing to look. Third, small victories build confidence for big challenges. Marcus didn't try to solve everything at once. He focused on one problem at a time: shelter, then water, then fire, then food, then signaling. Each small achievement kept him motivated for the next. You'll probably never be abandoned in the Amazon jungle. But we all face moments where we feel lost, without resources, without the right tools to solve our problems. Marcus's story teaches us that the solution rarely lies in having more resources. It lies in using what we already have better. How many times have you said, "I can't do this because I don't have X"? Marcus had nothing and improvised everything. He transformed disadvantages into advantages, limitations into creativity, despair into determination. Next time you face an impossible challenge, remember: a man survived 7 days in the jungle with a broken lighter and a pen. He found a criminal operation, saved a military mission, and returned to tell the story. And it all started with a simple choice: not to panic, but to start solving problems. Next time life throws you into a jungle without equipment, ask yourself, what can I improvise with what I have? The answer might surprise you. Because in the end, it's not the best equipped who survive. It's the most adaptable, the most creative, those who refuse to give up even when everything seems lost. And that, perhaps, is the most valuable lesson the jungle can teach.